So, you've got this world changing idea. That's amazing. But, an idea is really just the starting point. The real challenge, and honestly, the real adventure, is turning that concept into actual, tangible impact. Let's walk through exactly how you can make that happen.
And our guide for this journey is the final module from the Flying Wings Online Schools International School Program. It's all about implementation, impact, and, crucially, sustainability.
You've already done so much of the hard work, right? You've pinpointed a problem, you've designed a solution, you've even validated your ideas. But now comes the true test, taking it all off the drawing board and into the real world, where all those plans meet reality. We're going to call this first stage the threshold. It's that huge, critical moment where you stop just thinking about your idea and you start actively building it. This is where the adventure really kicks off. At this point, your focus just completely shifts. It's all about execution. It's about taking all that potential you've mapped out on paper and starting the real process of turning it into something that makes a difference in the world. So, what does this path actually look like? Well, we can break it down into 6 key milestones. Think of it in 2 parts. On the top row here, you've got your foundational steps, starting with rock-solid planning and operations, then moving on to securing funding and partnerships, and of course, thinking about scaling and sustainability for the long haul. Then the bottom row is all about how you communicate and measure your work, defining your impact with a theory of change, mastering pitching and storytelling, and finally, closing it out with presentation and reflection. Okay, next up is what we call the preparation, because before you can launch anything, you absolutely have to build a rock-solid foundation for your venture. And this is where we get super practical. We're talking about organizing your resources, mapping out clear and realistic timelines, and defining the processes that are going to turn your huge ideas into a series of small, manageable, and totally achievable steps. And of course, every venture, every quest, needs fuel to keep going. So that brings us to the crucial question. Where is the funding going to come from to support all this important work? There are basically 2 main paths to think about. You could go after grants and donations, which is kind of the traditional nonprofit route, or you could build a model based on earned revenue, where you're actually selling a product or a service. A lot of times it's a mix of both, but here's the key. Funding isn't just about the money. It's also about building those strategic collaborations and partnerships that can boost your venture in ways cash just can't. Now we get to the central challenge, what we're calling the ordeal. And it's called that for a reason. It's not just about getting started, it's about creating something that actually lasts and truly, deeply makes a difference. Look, everyone can launch something, right? But real success is found in sustainability. It's all about figuring out how to grow your venture in a smart way, making sure it can keep creating impact for years and years to come without just burning out. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You're busy, you're doing a million things, but how do you know that all your actions are actually leading to the change you want to see? How do you prove it? The answer is a fantastic tool called the theory of change. It's basically a framework for connecting the dots. Think of it like a simple roadmap. If your input is, say, funding for new books, and your activity is running a literacy program, then the output might be 100 kids finish the program. But the outcome, that's the real change, is their reading scores improved. This framework makes you define that entire chain and set up clear signs or indicators to measure your success along the way. So once you've got that solid foundation and a clear way to measure what you're doing, it's time for the final and totally critical stage, sharing your story with the world. And here's a really crucial truth. You could be doing the most incredible, life-changing work in the world, but if you can't communicate its value, your impact is always going to be limited. Your story is the vehicle that carries your impact out into the world. The goal here is to move way beyond just listing facts. You have to craft these compelling stories that really resonate with whoever you're talking to. For a funder, maybe that story focuses on data and how you can scale up. For the community, it might be about sharing a personal story of change. That's how you get not just support, but real buy-in. And this all leads up to showcasing all your hard work. But it's not just about presenting. It's also about reflecting, taking that time to really understand your journey, the wins, the setbacks, the growth. That's what gets you ready for whatever comes next. Because at the end of the day, this isn't really an ending. It's the beginning of a much bigger journey. All these steps are designed to equip you to go out there and make your mark. So the only question left is, what story will you tell?